Mm-hmm. Oh, how did I hear? I was looking for the original message when you first connected me. Was it on
Yeah.
Instagram or was it on?
I think it was on Instagram.
But I went back and I couldn't find it.
It might be on your personal, on
blocked
the,
you.
on yours.
Blocked you after.
Shut up.
No, it's not. It wasn't on. I was looking around. I just
No.
for some reason.
I have to double check. I mean, text is cool, but I like to call. Like, I'm a big, like, I need to get you on the phone because, yeah, like, the text message, I'm not a good writer. So I feel like I try to, like, explain something to somebody and I'm like, dude, just call me. Like,
That's
just
me
call
too.
Yeah.
And that's funny because how old are you?
I'm 23.
And that's interesting for a 23-year-old to say he likes to call because most guys are just like, no, just text me. Don't call.
Yeah. Or send me an email and I'm like, I mean, I get it, the business, you need email, but I'm like, man, I freaking hate email.
Really?
I'd rather just call. It's easier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's just easier for me to explain myself.
Right, you get your point because text,
Yeah.
man, like things can be taken out of context so much.
Yeah.
And if you could text somebody just a regular answer with no malice, nothing wrong, but
Yeah.
the other end, if you don't put like a like an emoji or something, they could take it as like, oh, they got an attitude,
Yeah.
or or I'm bothering them, or
Yeah.
or something like that. When you're just like, no, you're just responding like, no, not today, or no,
Yeah.
and it just gets out of context, and it doesn't really give the full message of what a person's feeling, right?
Yeah.
So that's why.
Yeah, there's
Text-
no emotion behind it. It's just
Right.
words, which, I mean, I get it. There's a lot of pros to words. Through email, right? Read receipts, and you can go back and review things. But yeah, talking I think is just easier. It's always just been easier for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Are we cool with the?
Oh yeah, we good. We roll, man. So
Okay.
yeah, so you guys are both lenders. We got two lenders on the show
Yeah.
today, guys. Heat Speakers is back, 2025 again, and so you've been in the business how long?
3 years. Like
3
3 years and
years.
some months, I think now. Yeah.
And you came in during the hardest times probably we've experienced of
In
the
real
last
estate,
decade.
Yeah, real estate history.
Right? Maybe history, right?
Yeah.
The pandemic. So this is 2022. You came in.
Around so, I believe so. Yeah.
Got
I don't
it.
keep track, but yeah.
How did that first year go for you?
It was hard. It was like super hard. I don't think I rarely would get a lot of leads. If I would get people or leads, it would be friends and family, sphere of influence. And of course, I think I'm 23, so I was probably like 21 or 20 at the time,
Mm-hmm.
turning 21.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like very young, and I looked super young. I had no facial hair, right? People would show up and like, you would hear me on the phone, you would hear I'm kind of young, and then you see me in person, and they're like, okay, I got kids your age, dude. How are you gonna help me buy a house? So immediately, like, their guard goes up. Then when I start explaining, like, hey, okay, I got this program, I got this. Let me look at. Then when I start kind of talking with the mortgage talk, then that's where
They
the
start
guard.
respecting.
Yeah, then they start, being a little bit more put at ease.
Right.
So before that, I was a notary. So.
Mm.
Yeah, so that's how I got my start in the business. I was a notary, signing loan docs, and I started at the beginning of COVID. So that's kind of how I got my swing into it.
Got it. So you eased your way into it. Is it lending? Lending, is that something you've always wanted to do? Something you just fell into? How did you get into it?
I kind of fell into it. So I always wanted to do business. I was going to Fresno State. I started out as at first I was a biology major. I was trying to get into the medical field. And then that kind of didn't work out. That's when COVID had hit.
Mm-hmm.
And so then during COVID, I was still enrolled at school, but I had switched my major. And then by then, I was already getting my license to be a notary.
Uh-huh.
And so then I was like, okay, I got two options here. I can either show up to the appointments where I'm getting called like crazy because rates are super low.
Right.
Everybody wants a
Lot of
3
work.
o'clock, a 4 o'clock, and a 5 o'clock. And you only have so many notaries. And I was the guy who never said no. So
Not turning down business.
yeah, never like, oh, can you do a 6? Can you do a 7? Can you do an 8? Can you go to Lemoore? Can you go to Visalia? Can you come back and drop it off in Fresno? Well, absolutely, yeah. I got nothing else to do.
Hey.
So it was between that or going to school. And then I was like, well, I can try to do both, right? I'll try to do both. But then it started getting to the point where I'm doing signings on Zoom at the same time while I'm explaining loan docs. Like I'm trying to do both all at the same time. And I was like, this is not gonna work. Eventually I'm gonna have to give one up and focus on one or the other. Or at least try to delegate enough to where I can do both at separate times. I gotta focus on one or the other. I can't multitask.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I said, you know what? school's just not working out. It's still online. They had said we're only supposed to be online for like 2 or 3 months, and that went to like 2 to 3 years. So I was like, you know what, forget school. I'm just gonna continue working as a notary, and then just get a ton of experience. And then once it goes back in person, I'll go back. But I never went back.
Hey.
Yeah. So it kind of worked out in a sense, because then I was doing so many notaries. I think so far I've done over almost like 1,200 notary signings.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I did like a lot.
You're
Like,
putting that pen to work.
oh yeah.
What does a day look like for a notary?
A day would look like I would probably, when it was busy, I was like waking up probably like 6 in the morning, dropping off docs right at 8, and then on to my appointments, probably like 4 to 6, 7 a day.
So you were dropping off docs that were signed the night prior.
The night prior, yeah.
Whatever. Did you do normally real estate or mortgage?
I did all only.
Okay, so you didn't have any other, no quitclaim deeds, no nothing. You
No,
just all
no.
mortgage docs.
I would sometimes we would get them like after they refinance. I think that was probably like my 2nd or 3rd year into it. That's when I started getting requests a lot for like quit claims, people removing people off of title, because by then they already refinanced.
Yeah.
They wanted to remove whoever was on there co-signing with them. So that was a lot of stuff kind of afterwards, but the beginning of the first 2 years was like, I mean, bananas. It was like every day there was work, every single day. Yeah. So like I saw that side of the business of it, and then being exposed to everything.
Let me guess. This is early 22.
This is early, like
early.
Because
that's when it was still crazy. So
Yeah.
I want to. June is when rates went up, and that's when people start pausing and
Yeah.
freezing. But before January to June, it was still that pandemic craziness. Everybody's buying left and right. So
yeah.
I get it. You were going crazy. Right?
Yeah, I was like, and I was busy, and I was meeting so many different people from like all walks of life, different people from real estate to loan, and I was like.
So who got you in the loan though? Like, who did you meet?
So I was doing a lot of work for a loan officer. I was getting requested a lot, like, hey Drew, can you come and sign my loan docs?
Right.
And I'm like, sure, yeah, and I would come in. And he would sit in with all his signings, like every single one.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, and he would explain the docs. He would explain, let's get the CD signed. Let's get like real thorough, real in depth. And I was like, that's different. Like out of all the ones I did, rarely a loan officer would come. Rarely a real estate agent would come. I was usually there, having to like sometimes kind of like, hey,
Wait, hold on. So not to cut you off. Rarely a real estate agent would come to signing.
Rarely.
Realtors, you need to get to your signings for your clients. I'm just kidding, because I don't go much either.
No, yeah.
I'm guilty. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
No, yeah. I would say out of like the 1,200 I've done, I would say probably 30 or 40% show up.
Sure.
Maybe 40 on the good end, but probably 30% would actually come.
Yeah.
So seeing that was different to me. All of his clients loved them. Every single one. All the refinances I were doing at the time was like, I would show up, something was off. The cash to close was off. They were promised this amount, they never got this. It was always something.
Right.
Monthly payment was too high, or they would show up to sign the docs. They didn't even know what their interest rate was. They didn't know what their monthly payment was. And I saw that not just sometimes, but like every other appointment I was going to was like that.
Wow.
So, I mean, I'm sure the high volume has to play a factor into it, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know how to tell you, but like, you didn't know this? Like,
right.
We're signing.
You're just a messenger. Like, you're just a guy,
So, I mean, a lot of times I would catch like myself, like not trying to be the loan officer, but like they would tell me, well, when's my first payment? I'm like, okay, well, it says right here,
First payment letter.
Yeah, first payment letter. This is what your monthly payment is.
Yeah.
Oh, well, why this or why that? Well, Mr. Barr, I can't answer any why questions. You're going to have to ask your loan officer. And I saw that a lot.
Wow.
But except for his clients would never ask that.
Wow.
So then that's where I was like, okay, there's a little something different there. And he had mentioned to me, or I had asked him, because I've been wanting to get into the lending space of it. Because I would see, okay, who's making what? Who's, and then I was like, dang, I'm over here busting my butt for, $150, $200 at the time.
Yeah.
And they're making like.
The real money is there, right?
$4,000, $8,000. And I'm like, okay, maybe I need to work a little bit smarter, not harder. Maybe I need to kind of switch directions. So that's when I told him, hey, is it okay if I get my license? Can you show me? He's like, yeah, whatever, I'll take you under my wing. I never had somebody, so, you'd be my first guy, I'd take you under my wing.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, okay,
You
cool.
can shout him out. What's his name?
His name's Joel Rivas.
Joel, and he's with Zabe?
No, he's with Valley View Home Loans.
Oh, okay.
So I started out with him. good loan officer. I'm still good friends with them. I do a lot of work with him still.
Sweet,
so
sweet.
yeah, so he's awesome. But yeah, he got me kind of introduced to the business, and yeah, it had been really really good, and I just loved it. Like and again, growing pains. It was like the beginning was very hard.
Yeah.
You pick up the phone, you call people, and you're getting the door slammed shut on you like all the time, all the time. The first 2 years was like that, very hard.
Yeah.
My third year, like I said, my third year is when I started seeing a lot more growth, a lot more people started.
This year.
Yeah, this year, a lot of people started opening the doors up. Hey, okay, well, let's work together, and so I'm
and
like,
the message in that way you just said is very important to a lot of people because a lot of people, they have these aspirations of want to be an entrepreneur, go into a business and things like that. And the reason most people don't succeed is because they have their vision. It's like they see the end goal. They don't see the grind in between and what it takes in the struggle.
Yeah.
So once they start it, they realize it's really tough. It's a lot of struggle going on. And most people just kind of give up and say it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But true business owners and professionals and entrepreneurs know, no, it's gonna suck for the first couple of years.
Yeah.
But at some point, it's gonna really click, and that's when you're starting to see the growth happen.
Yeah.
But you got to work your way up to it. So it's not just you wake up, I want to be an entrepreneur, and next week now I'm making all this money, right?
Yeah.
It's just not really reality. So
yeah, no,
you gotta stay,
I agree.
be consistent with it.
Yeah. So my parents are business owners. Of course, my mom.
Ah, it's in your blood.
Yeah,
Okay,
so it's in my blood.
You got a history of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Talk
of course,
about that.
my parents were telling me, go to school, get your degree. Right. We fell into entrepreneurship, but we want a little bit something more secure for you. Busted our butt to make sure you guys can have a good life.
Yeah.
Well, I was a little bit like, I don't know. I like being an entrepreneur. I want to do that. And so my mom, she does notary. She does all the quick claims and all that stuff. So she's like a wealth of knowledge on that aspect. And then my dad runs a towing company.
Okay.
Yeah, so he named it Drew's Towing. That's where I kind of got the Drew does loans. Yeah, that kind of caption. So
Unplug your dad on the Drew's Towing, guys.
Yeah,
Drew's
Towing. Yeah, he does towing. He's been doing it for 20-something years probably now.
Gosh.
Yeah.
A little fleet or just
He's just by himself. He used to at one point have
true flexibility right there.
Yeah. He used to have a couple guys work for him, and then eventually just told me, it's just better. It's less headaches to just do it. Yeah, do it on my own. But one of the things he told me is like, when you're an entrepreneur, nothing's handed to you, so you have to kind of you have to find a way to figure out how you're gonna make it.
Right.
And that's kind of the mentality that I've had since I started. It's like he just told me, if this is what you're gonna pursue, then you gotta go all the way, and nothing's handed to you. You're gonna just have to figure it out. You don't get a paycheck at the end of the day, so you kind of whatever you put into it is what you get out of it.
Right.
So that's kind of what I've held on to for the past 5 years that I've been in the business. Business real estate. In general. And I've just kind of stuck with it, and it's been, like I said, the first year is very tough. I mean, I've had the door closed on me, hung up on from cold calls to go to events and get the business card handed back to me. I mean,
wow.
That's hardcore, cold shoulder.
Even business owners are kind of like giving you a cold shoulder. That's
That's you look at it. That's nice, man. Okay.
Good luck. Here.
Yeah.
I've never heard that before. That's
So it's very cutthroat. It's extremely cutthroat. So.
But with all that, did you learn anything out of that? Because they say, you don't learn from your wins, you learn from your failures and losses, right? So
I think what I did learn was don't give up. I think up to that point, I was doing all kinds of different stuff. I went to school, I did this, I did that. So at that point, I was like, okay, I can't give up on this. Just because somebody handed me back a business card, I'm sure there's somebody who wants to work with me.
Right.
I did it for notary. Why can't I do it for this? And that's kind of the mentality I had, and just keep going, and if somebody's not gonna listen to me, I'm gonna keep calling until somebody will.
There you go.
And that's kind of just how I did it. Just swing for the fences and just hope you hit a home run one day.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
And so that's how it's been. Really, literally. So. But yeah, man, I enjoy it. I love it. I don't see myself really doing anything else. My fiance always tells me, well, maybe you should go back to school. Like, nah.
Let me ask, speaking of that, when you majored in biology, right? So what was your goal? Did you want to be a doctor? What did you want to
so
do?
I wanted to be a cardiologist. I had got sick with, I don't remember what it was, but it was like a heart condition when I was young. I was probably like 14 or 15 at the time, maybe. And so then that was a pretty crazy experience. Like I had, was working out. I used to do boxing and stuff, so I was sparring with my coach or whatever. And he punched me in the chest, and my heart, like, it started racing. And then I was like, oh man, like I felt it. And so we were still going. And then the round ended. He goes, all right, just go hit the bag and just finish out the rest of the practice. Okay. So I'm punching the bag and I'm like, oh my gosh, man, like my chest is like, I feel like my heart's racing. Like I feel exhausted.
Wow.
And then I went into the bathroom and I looked in the mirror and I could see my heart beating out of my shirt. And I was like, oh shoot. And so then, I was a kid. Yeah, I ran to my mom.
Wow.
I'm like, can we go? And she's like, yeah. So we're driving back home, and I'm like, I don't feel good. And she's like, sitting there, I'm getting blue in the face, and like I'm looking tired. I feel like I want to pass out. And so then she takes me to the doctor. They do the EKG, and yeah, they're luckily they were able to track my heart rhythm, so they're able to diagnose it right away.
Oh,
and I ended up going to Stanford to get a surgery for it.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it wasn't no open heart surgery or nothing, but it was just like a little, incision here in the legs, and then I did whatever they do. Yeah. So after that, I was like, all right, I think I want to, maybe this is kind of destiny. Maybe this is kind of fate, that I got sick. So, that's kind of the road that I went on, and everything I did up until that point was with that in mind. So I did classes around, medical. Got my CNA license before I got out of high school. And then I got into the classroom and just found out this isn't.
There wasn't. Not
everybody was on a different, like, you can tell. I mean, I would sit into a lecture at like a chemistry class, and everybody's writing notes and like going to town, and I'm just kind of sitting there like, what am I really doing here? Like, I don't even know what I don't even like really like this, and like I'm falling behind, not just a little bit. I'm probably like, I don't know what's going on in the class.
Right.
So, and then I'm like, okay, well, I'll go to tutoring. Maybe I'll try tutoring out. But then, tutoring, they're on their set hours, So we'll help you from, 3 to 4, and then you got to figure it out afterwards. So, I was just really frustrated. And by then, like I said, COVID had hit. I had switched my major to business, was doing business classes, but I'm like, I'm out here doing the real thing. Like, I'm doing transactions already. Like, what am I doing stats for? Like, we don't even use statistics. Everybody uses a calculator, so,
Yeah, well, I'm kind of both ways as far as, I think it still doesn't hurt to go to college and take business because you get the kind of, I guess, the foundation and kind of the idea of, but you're going to get your real experience and real information in the field and doing it hands-on, but I'm sure there's some stuff you can learn, like business plan and just the idea of business. Like, I've never taken business class, but I'm assuming that's what you can get from business school.
No, it's good. It's even good networking. I mean, all the people you graduate with, they're going to do some type of business venture or go into work in some type of business field. So
context.
Like, I don't think I'm knocking so much. I think going to school for business, I think it's a great thing. I just think at the time that was my mentality. And again, I was probably like, I mean, I was 17 when I went into college, so now I'm 23. So
you're old now, man.
A lot of maturity there. You get it. I experienced a lot of real life after that. So now I'm like, looking back, I'm like, man, I wish I would have, at least been able to wear the cap and gown at least one more time,
Right.
So, but I mean, so who knows in the foreseeable future? But I mean, I enjoy what I do. So
that's all that matters. If you love what you do, you're gonna. You can wake up and be happy what you're doing, and you're gonna be great at it because it's something. It doesn't feel like work. It's just something you love to do, and over time you just grow and grow. And get better. So you gotta.
On that note, actually, loving what you do, it sounded like you found out pretty quickly that the medical field and being in the chemistry classes was not a passion of yours.
Oh no,
that was the opposite for lending or notary or what?
No, so
what happened that you were just like mortgage?
I think it was because I enjoyed being a notary, but I was kind of sitting there like, okay, this is cool, but it's kind of like, I want to make a career out of something. So, I mean, I can make a career out of notary for sure and be good at what I do, but I was like, I want to take it a step further, and plus, you get paid a little bit more for what you do. And a lot of what I was seeing is, like I was telling you, is that I would show up, and sometimes I have to kind of like, convince the buyer to sign. Like, hey, you're okay. You're not getting screwed over. Trust me. Look at the paperwork. This is all stuff that should have been explained to you. But
Right.
seeing that so often, I'm like, I cannot. If I'm convincing them to sign the papers, of course, not trying to sell them on the loan or anything,
Mhm.
but telling them you're gonna be okay. Look at this. Look at the papers. I can at least do. I feel I can do a loan, right? I can at least do a better job than that, than have them in the dark, and not just sometimes, all the time.
Right.
So that's kind of where I was like, I'm gonna just take a leap of faith, and I'm just gonna do it and see how it works. And
So bad lenders made you go into
Yeah.
the game like, hey, I can do better than this, and
yeah,
and make clients feel comfortable and knowing what they're walking
yeah,
into.
yeah. I've
Yeah.
had times where like I had a client one time. I went to Selma, early Saturday morning. Nobody's in the office, right? I show up, get ready to sign the papers, and the clients are like super pissed off. Like, you know what? The agent didn't explain nothing to me. The lender doesn't explain anything to me. They didn't know what their monthly payment was. They didn't know how much cash to close was. They didn't know anything. And I'm showing up like, oh, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe do you want to talk with your agent? You guys square it away, and I'll come back whenever you're ready to sign.
Mhm.
And they're just like, no, we don't want to talk to our agent.
Right.
And I'm like,
As a seasoned lender, Mark,
I
is
don't have
that
too many more years on him, but
well? I mean, you've
Right.
done a lot of transactions,
Uh-huh.
right? Whose responsibility is that for the buyer to come in to know exactly what their payments are going to be and everything he was saying? Who is it on the agent? Is it the lender? Is it both?
To be honest, it's anybody's. So, in my experience, there's been a lot of times where they're asking questions that are agent questions. That doesn't mean I don't have an answer though. Even if my answer is, well, let's three-way call the agent, or maybe it is something I've dealt with in the past and I can answer it, even though it is an agent question.
Right.
Definitely, interest rate, payment, all of that needs to come from
The lender.
the one handling the money, the one doing the financing, and that would be your mortgage lender, the bank, the underwriter, whatever it is you're talking to. But that would be the financing side of things.
Mhm.
It shouldn't really get that far, especially in this market, because payment shock is real. So if you are not delivering what that payment is going to be up front, then they get into escrow, then they see the number, the pen on the paper, ink on the paper of what that payment is going to be. That is a very real reason for them to turn around and be like,
Right.
I don't, well, we didn't talk this through. We talked $150, $250 less than this, but we didn't talk this through.
Right.
It's too late at that point to say, yeah, but that was 260 grand. This is 280. So you have to know that's too late. They should have known already.
Do you feel
Yeah,
there's
right.
bad players in the business or in the industry as far as lending side that maybe intentionally kind of forget to let them know until they're forced to kind of be at that point to where I don't know. I'm just asking.
I think that they're more.
Like, have you ever seen or heard of that happen to where they just?
I think that there are just more. I think there are people that are more skilled in um, smoothing things over instead of their strengths not being upfront, and so maybe they're relying on their ability to smooth it over, which is the wrong thing to do.
Right.
But I think that there are some because I've dealt with it. I've had to explain things. I've stepped in for new construction builds, because a lot of times they use the in-house lender, and you can't beat some of the incentives if you go to some of them and you're
Yeah.
not the lender there. It's tough to beat them. But one of the biggest things I get from my clients that go there, and I'm not involved in these deals at all because
Right.
they're using the in-house lender, but one of the biggest complaints I get is that we have no idea what the hell's going on. So it happens all the time. It's just a piece of paper to some people, and it sounds like to Drew and I know myself, it's the impact, which is what I was asking you about.
Yeah.
That passion when you finally get to that closing table, first one, 100th one, 1,000th loan, doesn't matter. The impact that it makes on that family is amazing.
Right.
That their whole experience is like a totality of everybody. How is the agent? How is the lender?
Yeah.
How is the notary?
Mhm.
All of it. But if you there is definitely room for you to shine as a lender, even if the agent dropped the ball, even if
Right.
the notary didn't explain nothing. Well, the notary didn't need to because my lender was just shining so bright. So there's a way to make an impact, and it's rewarding when they
Yeah.
text you after, you've been a blessing in my life, or you
Right.
just there's all these things. I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah,
It's
no,
incredible. But you
yeah.
definitely do see the opposite of I'm not here to make an impact. I'm here to make a check.
Sure.
So you gonna sign or what? You see it.
Yeah.
You see it. I'm
And
sure
no-
you dealt with it.
Yeah, I think a good example of like you saying smoothing it over is what I would hear a conversation with the borrower would be like, hey, Mr. Borrower, I understand that your payment's like this or like that. Don't worry about it. Just sign the papers and we'll figure it out tomorrow.
What?
Yeah,
That's
and they
insane.
say just sign it. Don't worry, we'll figure it out tomorrow.
We'll
fix
figure
it
it
tomorrow.
out tomorrow.
Yeah, and it's 7:30 at night, 6:30 at night, and they're like, well, and I'm like, up to you guys
Is
to
there
sign.
something to figure out? I mean, I'm not on the lending side, so I mean, once the buyer, in my opinion, once the buyer signed that loan docs, it is what it is. There's nothing to figure out the next day.
Yeah, I mean,
What are we gonna figure out?
If it's a refinance, there's potential for them to rescind. But
on a
if
purchase,
it's a purchase,
it's,
they should know this stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
they should know the stuff.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So that was that's just what you said. I experienced it real life,
Yeah.
and I think in that example, it's like the lender, agent, whoever it was in that transaction. This was years ago.
Yeah.
Somebody dropped the ball. They were really upset. I show up and just did my job. Hey, Mr. Borrower, your payment is this. Your interest rate is that. And when's my first payment? It's on this day. It's on the note. Just pretty much reading whatever was off the loan docs to them, and just took time to explain it for an hour. And then he just told his wife, go outside and go buy him lunch. And I was like,
wow.
huh?
Shout out to Mr. Ibarra. You
Yeah.
went through some stuff, but
Yeah.
we got your back, man.
Yeah. So he said
Drew took care of you.
And I was like, no, it's okay. I don't. I'm not trying to. I'm just doing it because I'm doing my job, man.
And you got to send him this video.
Oh, I should. I don't know where he's at today, but I probably can remember the house that he used to rent at. But
Right.
yeah, and I just told him, no, it's okay. And he made his wife walk down the street, go buy me a breakfast burrito, and bring it back to me. Yeah, and she did it. She went, she bought me food, and she brought it back.
But was it Robert Tito's though?
I don't even
If it
remember.
wasn't Robert Tito's, it don't count. Because they got the best breakfast burritos. in
Yeah.
town. I don't care. Anyway, but yeah. Oh, really quick, kind of shifting gears. There's something been going on, last couple years with homeowners insurance and
Oh, yes.
buyers having issues in California and all these insurance companies leaving the state, and it's been a lot of challenges, man. And I've even seen it with my own clients and stuff. What are you seeing right now as far as homeowners insurance, and how serious of an issue or if there is an issue that you've seen?
There's been a lot of issues with it. I've had like multiple people where they have issues like binding the insurance to the property. So like it would be weird because a lot of people, like I had an example of like I tried to close one out where it was across the street from a school district or the local elementary school, wasn't in fire hazard, wasn't in flood, nothing like that, right?
Yeah.
Nothing crazy, just a normal transaction. We're getting ready to bind the insurance, good quote, and they just kick it back for no reason, right? Then we go to the next guy in line. Okay, can you give us your quote? And then same thing, can't bind the insurance. And we go to the third guy and we finally get the insurance to go through, but it's like, why are they denying the insurance? And then they would tell me, oh, is it because is it up in the mountains? I'm like, dude, I live 2 minutes from the house.
Right.
Like, there should be no reason why the insurance shouldn't go through. So it's been a lot of that. Payment shock's probably been one of them. I just experienced one where a lady came to me and pretty much said, hey, I already bought the house, right? Went through the whole transaction. My payment was supposed to be like about $50-something or $60 in homeowners insurance. When I purchased the house, I'm like, oh, dang, that's really cheap. She goes, but here's the problem. I made my first payment and they canceled the insurance on me. And I was like,
I'm hearing that's happening a
yeah.
lot.
And
man.
I was like,
They're
and this just happened probably about maybe less than a month ago. And then I was like, oh shoot. And then they told me, so they went out to requote it and it went from $50 to $150 a month. And I was
What
like,
was the explanation? Did the companies?
no idea, no reason.
What have you seen that? Have you been running into those issues, Mark? Like with homeowners insurance and difficulties and?
they're pretty specific to the region, the ones I've seen. The only thing that I've seen that has kind of I would imagine that's going to affect more people. They just don't know it. Is when the Creek Fire was here, there was a lot of ash in the air, and a lot of ash fell on people's roofs and in their AC units and stuff like that. A lot of people reported that there was damage to my roof, there was damage to my AC unit. So a lot of insurance companies paid out, but there's a lien on the house. They paid out. They said, hey, there was damage to the house. Here's the money to fix it. A lot of families took that money and they didn't. There was no real damage.
Right.
They claim that there was damage. So when they're going to sell the home, when they're going to refinance the home, they're saying, hey, there's reported damage. There's a claim against this house. we need the proof that it was fixed because we're not going to insure this house if there's damage to it. So they're either going to give that money back or actually make these repairs that are now being reflected on that home. I'm seeing that a lot. A lot. But as far as
That's more
policies
fraud,
dropping,
though. That's like fraud, though.
it's 100% what it is.
Yeah.
It's insurance fraud is what they did. But I mean, they should be happy that they're being given an option to clear that. But what I have seen is in the mountains, Core School, Albury.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
You got to get that
gosh.
California Fair Plan.
Boy, we're
Yeah.
talking an 8,000 annual premium.
Yeah.
You know, it's
And that's just for
wild.
fire.
Insurance is more than property taxes.
Sure.
And you go up the mountains, and you're right, 30 minutes up the mountains,
No.
triple the
Crazy.
premium. It's wild. It's
Yeah.
wild.
Crazy.
Even
We saw what happened with the
Yeah.
fires of in the Palisades and recently in
Yeah.
Pasadena area. Oh man, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with. I mean, I can imagine a lot of the homeowners are going through it with their insurance companies. I'm
Yeah.
hearing a lot of them got dropped maybe months
Yeah.
before. It's just bad, man. It's just they're just. I feel like insurance companies are just trying to get off the hook from
It's suspicious
paying
for
out.
sure.
Yeah.
It's at a higher level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're seeing all this money they got to pay out, so they're skipping town. They're skipping the state. They're out of here. They're like, nope, we're gone.
yeah.
This is crazy though.
I mean, I think at some point they're seeing it on the books as it's a liability for them
Yeah.
to insure
Mhm.
in California because it's not. I think California is kind of like, I don't know, it's plagued. They have fires,
Yeah.
multiple fires, earthquakes, and then we got the flooding because there was no rain for so many years. We were in a
Yeah.
drought, and then all of a sudden houses are getting flooded
Yeah,
out.
it just came down.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, I can imagine as an insurance company, it's like, dang, man, we can't catch a break. We're
Yeah.
getting hit in all directions.
Yeah.
So it's a tough spot. I think it's going to definitely, it's becoming an issue so much to where I think eventually politics is going to have to take a look and revise it for sure. They're going to have to step in. Government will have to step in eventually because farmers is leaving, this
Mhm.
person's leaving. Eventually, you're going to be only left with California Fair Plan, but that's like bare bones of insurance.
Right.
You
That's
know,
just yeah.
that's not helping nobody. So eventually they will. It's going to become an issue so bad to where government will have to step in because it's going to be a point where they're going to have to.
Well,
I mean, I would
a
hope.
lot of clients I
Yeah.
talk to, especially lately, they have no faith in the government here.
Yeah.
Starting with the governor, and a lot of complaints about that,
Yeah.
to where nothing's really been done, and we can see how the bigger cities, San Francisco, LA, looks, and
Mhm.
it's been going downhill for over the last years. And
Yeah.
so it's a lot of things that are needed here in our state, man, and prayer is first.
Yeah.
And
100%.
second, we need some good politicians in there that are going to be legit and come in and really do the job
Yeah.
the right way.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We might have to run for office. I don't know. Something's
know.
something's got to give, right? I don't know.
I would vote for you.
Yeah. Rich Jackson for what, mayor, governor? What you want to do?
President mayor, that'd be good.
Nah, I'm okay right now. But so what do you let's talk about let's talk about first time buyers, home buyers. Like, have you worked with quite a few of those?
I would say about 80% of my business is first time buyers.
What's the mentality of today's buyer? Like first time buyer, like how are they?
Ooh,
what's
that's a good one.
What's their mindset coming in?
Recently, a lot of people have been coming in with the mindset. There's a lot of misconceptions out there, especially when it comes to first-time buyer programs. Like there are like Dream for All, right? 20% down, right? You get everything, closing costs, everything covered, right? But that's not every situation. Some people kind of have that a little bit jaded to where like they come up to me and say, I got $5 in my bank account. What can you make happen? And I'm like, whoa.
Like this
dude.
isn't 2006, 2007. This
Yeah.
ain't that
I got a
time.
Whopper. I got a
Yeah.
Whopper for you, buddy. That's it.
Back then, yeah, that would have worked. But
Yeah.
Not even a combo, just a Whopper.
Yeah,
Wow.
and I'm just
with no cheese.
Yeah, I had somebody come in with a negative $35 in their account.
Shut
I'm not trying to
up.
put anybody in blast, but
No, put them on black. What's their name?
no, I can't. That's heck illegal. You can-
Yeah, I'm just joking. Man.
But yeah, I had somebody come in with negative $35 in their account. And I'm like, oh man, and I'm just like, okay.
Like you owe yourself, buddy, before you can pay for somebody else.
Yeah, and so they're telling me. So I heard that there's zero down, and I'm like, there's zero down payment, but like, remember you got property taxes, you got homeowners insurance. I mean, the more assistance you get, the more interest you're gonna have to pay. That's just how it
You
works.
got a mortgage payment.
Yeah, and I'm like, so
What?
and a lot of people are coming in with that mentality because of all of everything, all of the marketing and branding, zero money down, coming in with zero out of pocket, which there are some cases where that some people do come in with buy a house with $1,200, 5,000, 6,000. But in the reality, most cases you're gonna have to come in with at least a little bit of skin in the game. So I see that a lot with first-time buyers, and I also see a mentality of a lot of young first-time buyers making it almost like if they're buying a car. I'm gonna go to Realtor A, and then I'm gonna go to Realtor B. I'm gonna go to Lender A, and I'm gonna go to Lender B. Then I'm gonna go to Joe Smow's Lending down the street, and I'm gonna see who's gonna give me the best option and who's gonna make me feel the best out of everybody. And I'm seeing that not just sometimes, I'm seeing that a lot now. Like I'm talking to realtors, they're telling me that they'll show up to an open house, they'll request a showing, and they'll do it with a new agent every single open house that they go to. And it's just like, I mean, wild. Like,
Wow.
And so I'm kind of just telling people, like, remember, you're not buying a car, you're buying a house. So you don't need to go to every dealership down the block to find buying a house, right? Just find somebody that you trust, that's reliable, that's going to help you out, give you the best deal possible. Not the best rate, not the best, programs or anything like that. The best deal, the best strategy for what you are trying to do, right? People get too caught up, I think, in the rates. Well, he gave me a 6.5, but Lender B's going to give me a 6.3. Okay, but, do you know you got discount points in there, Mr. Baller? You're paying for that 6.3, right? So I'm telling people, you're not buying a car. Find somebody that's going to give you the best strategy and stick with them. Don't go and veer off to, all kinds of different lenders, because then you're going to get upset when your credit shot up because you're getting your credit ran at every single, company down the block. It's like, sometimes people, you're not buying a car, you're buying the biggest investment of your life. So do yourself a favor and do it right the first time. Don't go to all kinds of different lenders, right? You're gonna, at the end of the day, in reality, we kind of all get our money from the same people, right? As far as broker side goes, UWM, Loan Depot, all those people, we all kind of use the same people at the end of the day. Of course, it's how you structure the loan that's kind of the biggest thing. But it's like I said, finding the best strategy is going to make the most sense for them. That's what counts. It's not always about the lowest fee. I had somebody that was helping out. They got charged $9,000 in discount points to buy down the rate to 5 point something. And I'm like, Mr. Barr, that you're saving money.
Mr. Barr again?
Yeah.
This guy, he's been through a lot.
You say Mr. Borrower.
Oh, Mr. Borrower.
Yeah,
oh,
Mr.
I'm
Borrower.
sorry. Mr. Borrower.
No, I say Mr. Borrower. Just
Okay.
as a placeholder.
Yeah.
But I'm telling
sorry.
them, you're getting charged $9,000 in discount points. I mean, unless you're not planning to refinance in the next 4 or 5 years, I don't see you really making that total sense. And I mean, if you refinance in year 2, you kind of lost out on the money that you just paid. I'm just looking out for you.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they still go with it. And it's like.
And it's unfortunate because there's some lenders that won't even explain how they're getting this lower rate. They're just like,
I think most.
Really?
Most.
Is that bad?
Yeah. I don't even know that bad is the right word. I just think that one, it can be complex to explain to somebody.
Okay.
Honestly, when you talk about money with anybody, when you try it, go home and talk to your cousin about money, and everything just gets, and we're talking about money that they don't even have to pay yet. This is just an estimate. So this is money you may have to pay. Uneasy. Money you may leave on the table. Uneasy. Anything with money, just automatically people are, what are you trying to take from me?
Right.
What are you trying to get over on me? So I don't know that bad is the right word, but it's tough to explain to somebody, I can beat that rate. What kind of wallet are we looking? What kind of wallet are we working with?
Sure.
What do you mean? I don't want to spend any more money. Okay, well then there's no way you're getting that rate. I mean, because
I think just being straight up and just the way you said it is the best way to do it.
That's the
just
way
to let
to
them
do
know.
it. Yeah. But that's tough because, I mean, it's not tough for me. I'm sure it's not tough for you because you're an honest dude.
Yeah.
But it's tough for somebody to say, I know I'm going to lose this, to somebody down the road who is not explaining this. I know I am. So you just kind of have to really look into yourself, and say no, this is how I'm going to be. This is how I'm going to deliver information. This is how I'm going to make an impact in this family's life. If they choose to go elsewhere, it's going to be because they're being deceived, not because I'm the deceiver.
Right.
Right. But yeah, I would say most don't. Most don't. Because they all they know is they can get the better interest rate. All right. Well, what are you paying for it?
Right.
Well, I don't know. They just said they can beat it. Yeah. Well, I can give you 0.1% if you want it. Hey, there you go. I beat it. So you want to stay? They're like, well, how are you going to do that? Well, I'm going to tell you I'm going to do that. 30 grand? You got 30 grand?
Right?
No? Okay, let's go right back up to where we're talking about then. Let's be
Yeah.
realistic.
Yeah.
That's the way, but nobody will have that conversation. So
Sure.
I don't know if bad is the right word. It's just
nuts.
not the full truth. It's just not the full truth.
Gotcha.
Yeah, no, that's
You know what I mean? Yeah, you
I've
see
dealt
it.
with it all the
Yeah,
time.
you see it.
Yeah, and it's like I said, it's even the difference of like, well, 6.5 to 6.3, and I'm like, dude, you're not saving that much money. Like, I mean, yeah, over 20 years, sure, but if you're planning to refinance in less than 20, then you're not going to see too much of an impact. Why are you going to go somewhere else and pay more money to get a slightly better rate?
Mhm. Well,
You know,
this is what I think
don't
too.
know.
I think a lot of this confusion that we're talking about, and even with agents and buyers and stuff,
Yeah.
a lot of the confusion really falls, I think, back on us a lot as professionals and not putting out the education and information to buyers and just to the public. So I think like podcasts and videos and just first-time buyer webinars, but we just need to put out more information and education.
Yeah.
So the masses understand what to expect, what's real, what's not,
Yeah.
and that's really it. It's just people just don't know. They're going in with what they think. They might hear something from an uncle or a cousin, and half the time that's not all the way true, right?
Yeah.
So they just go off of what they think is right, and that's what. So
Yeah.
just really educating the buyers
That
is really the most important.
buying the car mindset is what I think what kicks in.
Right.
For a lot of young first time buyers, like you get the best rate all the time. And I'm like, all right, Mr. Barr, let me talk to you for a little bit. Let me clear some things up for you. So I'm big on education. I'm sure you guys are as well. That's why you're doing the podcast. I do first time buyer classes. I do educational videos.
Got something coming up?
I do. I haven't gotten a date yet. I'm going to do one. So I've been on a series of doing 6 classes. So we already done 5. So I got one more.
Nice. What are you doing at?
I do them at a local church. They actually asked me to do them.
No way.
Yeah.
What church?
It's called Remnant Church Fresno.
Remnant?
Remnant.
Okay.
Church.
Is that Christian?
Christian, off of McKinley and Chestnut.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love that because we're both Christian based.
Oh yeah.
And we're heavy into the book, the Bible, the Word, definitely.
Yeah,
So I like that. I love it.
Yeah, they had asked me to do it. They're like, hey, a lot of people want to buy a house here, and they don't know where to start. I'm like, cool, I'm your guy
That's
to
something
do it.
we need to talk. I was thinking about for our church, like talking to them.
I think
in the future.
Yeah, it's super good. A lot of like my first class, man, was a home run. Like I had a line of people talking to me, and a lot of questions, a lot of like, a lot of people just like you said, don't know. They have no idea.
Right.
Like people even ask me like, I already own a home, but I don't know what I got. I'm like, oh man, yeah. Well, then, I'm your guy for it. Let's get to work on it. What are you trying to do? You trying to sell it? Trying to refinance? Pull cash out? I mean, so education is a very, very big thing that I think this market needs a lot of, or this industry needs a lot of.
Yeah.
It's very crucial because a lot of people, like I said, out of the 1,200 transactions I did, a good percentage of them didn't know a lot of stuff. So,
and that education builds your credibility with that buyer or the signer, their family and friends. That education, when they take some value out of that, that's when that credibility starts. Hey, this guy knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
On that note of credibility, what are some of are you on social media?
Yeah.
Do you use social media to like build an audience and try?
I do. Yeah, I do try.
How important is it to you?
It's pretty important. I think social media is the new age of marketing. I think the old